He won his first duel at age 13. His opponent was a full-grown warrior, trained, experienced, armed with a real blade. Musashi killed him with a wooden stick. Over the next 30 years, he fought 61 duels. He never lost a single one. But what made Miyamoto Musashi unbeatable wasn't his sword. It was his mind. Musashi was born in 1584 in the Harima province of rural Japan. It was a country tearing itself apart. Decades of civil war had left entire regions in ash. Warlords rose and fell. Alliances meant nothing. Loyalty was a weapon, not a virtue. Into this world, Musashi arrived with nothing. His father, a samurai himself, abandoned him before he could speak. His mother died shortly after. He was taken in by an uncle who recognized something unusual in the boy and taught him the basics of the sword. But basics were never going to be enough for Musashi. When he was 13 years old, a wandering warrior named Arima Kihei arrived in his village. Arima was arrogant, loud. He posted a public challenge, a duel, open to anyone brave or stupid enough to accept. Musashi accepted. Everyone who witnessed it expected the boy to die. Instead, Musashi threw Arima to the ground and beat him to death with a wooden staff. He was 13 years old. What he did next tells you everything about who Musashi was. He didn't celebrate. He didn't seek a master. He didn't join an army or swear loyalty to a lord. He left, alone, on foot, with nothing but his sword and whatever he could carry. He became a ronin, a masterless samurai, a man who belonged to no one, and therefore answered to no one. For years he wandered Japan, fighting, surviving, losing everything that wasn't essential. He slept in forests. He starved. He fought men twice his age and twice his size. And he learned something from every single one of them, even the ones he nearly didn't survive. Most warriors of his era trained until they were competent, and then stopped questioning. Musashi never stopped questioning. The duel that made him a legend came in 1612. His opponent was Sasaki Kojiro, widely considered the most dangerous swordsman in all of Japan. Kojiro had developed a technique called the swallow cut, a strike so fast it was said to be invisible. He had never been defeated. He had never even been seriously challenged. The duel was arranged on a small island. Witnesses came from across the region to watch what they believed would be the end of Miyamoto Musashi. Musashi arrived hours late. Not by accident, deliberately. On the boat ride to the island, he took a spare oar and carved it into the shape of a sword with his knife. Slowly, calmly, as if he had nowhere more important to be. When he finally stepped onto the beach, Kojiro was furious. He screamed. He drew his sword and threw the scabbard into the sea, a traditional gesture meaning he had no intention of retreating. Musashi looked at the scabbard floating on the water. He said, "You've already lost." A man who throws away his scabbard is a man ruled by emotion. Musashi was not. The duel lasted approximately 3 seconds. Musashi struck first, a single blow to the skull with the wooden sword he had carved from the oar. Kojiro fell. He never rose. Musashi bowed to the witnesses, turned, and walked back to his boat. He was 28 years old. He would go on to fight 33 more duels. He won every one. But here is what most people don't know about Miyamoto Musashi. After his 61st victory, he put down his sword. Not because he was tired, not because he was afraid, but because he had understood something that took him a lifetime to learn. Winning duels was the least interesting thing he had ever done. He retreated to a cave called Rei Gondo and spent his final years in solitude. No students, no followers, no ceremonies. Just a man, alone with his thoughts, writing. What he wrote became the Book of Five Rings. It is still studied today, not just by martial artists, but by military strategists, business leaders, and philosophers across the world. His first principle was the simplest and the hardest. Do not think dishonestly. Every decision you will ever make begins with the quality of your thinking. Not your strength, not your speed, not your weapon. If you deceive yourself about what is real, you have already lost before the fight begins. His second principle: distinguish between gain and loss in worldly matters. Musashi watched men destroy themselves fighting battles that were never worth winning. Battles for pride, for reputation, for small slights that meant nothing. He believed the clear sign of a weak mind was the inability to walk away from a fight that didn't matter. His third principle was the one that surprised people most: become acquainted with every art. Musashi was a painter, a sculptor, a poet. He believed and proved that mastery in one discipline sharpens the mind for mastery in all others. His paintings still exist today. They are considered masterworks. The same focus that let him read a duel in 3 seconds let him see a brushstroke with the same precision. His fourth principle: know the ways of all professions. Understand how farmers think, how merchants make decisions, how builders solve problems, how generals plan. Ignorance of the world around you kills faster than any blade. In the spring of 1645, 2 weeks after he finished writing the Book of Five Rings, Miyamoto Musashi died in his cave. He died with no master, no defeats, and no regrets. He once wrote, "Today is victory over yourself of yesterday. Tomorrow is your victory over lesser men." The man never lost a duel, not because he was the fastest, not because he was the strongest, because he was the most prepared to die, and therefore the most free to live.